Three, two, one.
Hey everyone.
Hey, how you doing?
So, on today's episode, this is the first episode of 2026, and today we're covering one of the topics from our segment Sport Breakdown. So, the topic that we're covering is something that is going around right now. It's been around for a while. It's been here for a while, but over the last year it's gained a lot of momentum and there's so many people, athletes and non-athletes, getting into it. So, do you want to say what the topic is?
Yeah, so we're here to talk about HYROX. That's the trend in the sports world right now, where everyone's trying to compete in HYROX. It's really picked up its pace over the past 1-2 years, and
Yeah.
yeah, everybody's trying to get that little badge that you get from your competition.
So today we're going to be breaking it down, what it is, how do you train for it, and whether it's something that is restricted to the elite athletes and people who've been training for years, or is it something that someone who's new to the fitness world, new to sport, can get into?
Do I need to say something? What's going on here? Was that a question?
No. This we're including in the actual video. This was the end of segment 1.
Okay.
So first, we're going to be starting off with our first guest that we've ever had on the podcast. How do you feel to being our first guest?
You can't ask me stuff like this, bro. Come on. You tell me before you ask me, bro.
I can't tell you before I ask you because it comes from
How does it feel to be the first guest? I feel honored. How do I say it?
So first off, we're going to be talking about who is our first guest on the episode. How do you feel being our first guest
Well, feels good. I feel honored to be here as the first guest.
on the goblet?
Yeah.
So first things first, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background in sport, your background in strength and conditioning. Let's start there.
Okay, so for those who don't know me, my name is Steen Manish. I go by Coach Steeno online. And growing up, I've always been into sport and I've played multiple sports growing up. I think table tennis is where I first started, and then
I didn't
I
know
had
this.
a little bit of time where I was doing javelin as well. And then I started playing basketball, and that's been my main sport for the longest time, till about halfway through my undergrad. And I did my undergrad in Manipal. I did that in exercise and sports science. Worked for a year and a half in the rehab space, primarily working with injured populations, getting back into their sport. Then I've come here to the UK to do my master's in strength and conditioning, and
Successfully achieved.
successfully achieved. Yeah, and I'm interning and I'm working with a basketball team with the girls academy basketball program as their S&C coach. So yeah.
So after you left basketball, you've been mainly focusing on strength training. So what is your current focus, the goal you've had for the last few months and your goal you're working towards?
So the goal that I've been working towards right now is just competing in HYROX. I've signed up for a HYROX race in April that's happening in Bangalore. And yeah, for the past 2 months, I've been training for that.
So now we're going to get into what is HYROX and how does it work. So now we're going to be going into like a brief of it. There is a reel coming out very soon explaining each station and what it is. But now we're going into something that's beyond the station. So tell me what HYROX is.
So HYROX, like when you look at it from a big picture, it's basically a fitness race, and it's just 1K runs and exercise stations. So there are 8 stations, and you run 1K before each station. And yeah, there are different categories that you take part in. You can either take part in it solo, or you can take part in it doubles. So it's either doubles men's, doubles women's, or doubles mixed. And then there's also the open and the pro categories as well for both of these categories.
Yeah.
So
Just a question because I missed out on this. When you talk about the doubles, is it that there's 2 people as a team,
there's 2 people as a team, yeah.
and does one person do 4 stations and one person do 4 stations?
So you can split it up like however you like it. It's just that when you do the 1K runs, both people on the team would have to do the 1K runs together.
So
As in they'll have to pace it in such a way that they're running together. But for the stations, one person can do like one complete station, or you can split it up. For example, if you take the 1,000 meter ski erg, one person can either do the 1,000 meter ski erg, you can break it into 500 meters each, or you can even do 250 meters, 250 meters, 250 meters, 250 meters. So it's you can decide how you break up the stations and how you want to be efficient with it, because some people might be stronger at certain stations, because like your if your teammate is stronger at the burpee broad jumps, he'd want to do most of it.
Yeah.
And typically the stronger runner would be the one finishing the station.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now getting into another bit of it, we were talking about how a lot of people undermine the time it takes to get from the run to the station.
Yeah.
So now when it's two people, that would be a little bit extra time when both people are switching off from the stations, wouldn't it? Or does that not play a factor?
Since you're running together, the run to the stations in the rock zones wouldn't really matter.
That wouldn't.
But yeah,
Within the station itself.
But there is time that you might lose on while switching. So to be efficient with your switching is really important. For example, how you transfer over sandbag in your sandbag lunges, or how you're transferring your kettlebells for the farmers carries, or even just the setup that you do for your rows. So
Okay.
yeah.
So another fitness thing that was a trend or a race that people were following for quite a while, a couple of years before, is CrossFit. So
Yeah.
how different would you say HYROX is from CrossFit?
So CrossFit compared to HYROX, CrossFit would take a lot more skill
Okay.
for lifts. For example, you need to know how to do a power snatch or a power clean, doing stuff like handstand walks. I don't know. I've seen a
Okay.
few CrossFit competitions with stuff like that. Even just to do like toe to bar and stuff like that would require a lot of strength and skill.
Okay. So
Whereas
a lot more technical.
yeah, whereas HYROX is a lot less skill involved, because it's all simple exercises. The ski erg doesn't take a lot of skill. Row ergs don't take skill. Farmers carries, you're just walking with weights, right?
Yes.
Lunges, again, pretty basic. Sled push, sled pull. And even with wall balls, you're just squatting down and throwing a ball up. So it's, from a skill perspective, HYROX is really simple. That's why a lot more people opt to take part in HYROX, and that's why it's gaining a lot of traction right now.
The fact that it's gaining a lot of traction, I think, is good, especially considering it's not something for elite athletes. Because the more sport competitions that happen that is inclusive of everybody, the more there are general population also that's going to want to get into fitness, because
Yeah.
they see everyone doing HYROX. It's something that is possible for everyone to get into.
Yeah.
Obviously, the time at which you complete is going to differ, but this is, I think, in a way, encouraging a lot more people to get into the fitness space.
Yeah, true. Totally agree. I feel like HYROX is something where it's open for the general population, or for weekend warriors, or it's open to like people of different fitness levels.
Yeah.
So there's also like really elite athletes taking part in HYROX with phenomenal times.
Okay.
But you also have the average Joe that will sign up and like take part for it, to complete it and take it as a challenge. So yeah, it's something that's pretty open to all populations, which is
That's really
another reason why it's gaining so much
gaining
popularity.
a lot of momentum. That's great.
Yeah.
So one segment about HYROX that I wanted to ask you about is the rock zone. What is it?
So the rock zone is something that people don't really consider when they're preparing for their races. They only think that you need to do the 1K run and you're straight into your stations. But no, there is a distance that you need to run again from the end of your 1K to the start of the stations. And this differs from event to event and like station to station. It's all based on how the venue is set up. It could be, it could range from like another extra like 500 meters to 200 meters that you might have to run. And even in stations like a ski erg, if you're the first one to make it into the station, you'll have to go and run all the way to the end of the station, which is
Okay.
again extra distance that you have
It
to cover.
is, yeah.
So that's it's not a lot, but it is a little additional distance that you have to cover and that you have to take into consideration when you're training for your HYROX race.
Good to know. So, Steen,
Yes.
for someone like yourself who's been a professional athlete for quite a long time, you've been strength training for a long time, so you're not new to the fitness world. It's revolved around who you are.
Yeah.
It's revolved around what you've decided to specialize in. So for someone at your level, what made you want to get into HYROX?
Yeah, how I wanted to get into HYROX is basically because, like, for the longest time, I've been an athlete,
Yeah.
right? I've been playing basketball, and that's been my primary source, or like, that's how I would be training my aerobic base, right? So, as my form of cardio, you would say, and I was doing strength stuff in the gym. But ever since I stepped away from basketball, I've only been focusing on like strength and power,
Yeah.
and I realized that I'm not really paying attention to like my uh, aerobic base, and I'm not really doing anything for cardio and running and stuff like that. And it was definitely that something that was out of my comfort zone right now. So I was like, yeah, I need to challenge myself a little bit, do something that's out of my comfort zone. And that's when I ran into HYROX, and I was like, wow, this is great. It's not too challenging skill wise. There is a certain strength component to it, but it's heavily based around your cardio and how well you can run. So
I feel like it gives you a goal kind of
exactly,
thing to work towards, because as an
exactly,
athlete, when you were playing basketball,
yeah,
your goals revolved around the next competition,
yeah,
the
yeah,
next event,
yeah,
how are you going to perform. But
exactly,
after that phase of you being an athlete ended,
yeah,
you've been training very consistently.
exactly, yeah.
Anyone who knows him knows that, but you haven't targeted a particular
Exactly.
goal.
I don't have a competition that I was preparing for. I
Yeah.
was training consistently, but it was just to get stronger, get like develop more power, or just get better at the lifts in general.
Yeah.
But there was no like competition that I was training for, and I felt like
It
that
brings
was
a
really
certain
missing.
excitement to it.
Exactly. And so yeah, that's why I decided to take part in HYROX. So I could do something that's out of my comfort zone, and it's also a competition that I'm competing for. So
That's great.
yeah.
So another personal question, do you have, considering the fact you're not a beginner, I think a lot of beginners would look into completing HYROX. Considering that you're not a beginner to fitness, do you have a certain goal in mind or a certain time limit you fixed for yourself to complete HYROX?
I wouldn't say that I'm not a beginner because this is my first endurance event that I'm running,
Okay, fair,
right?
fair.
So I am a beginner to the endurance side of things. But given that I've been training for a long time,
Yeah.
I do have like a goal in mind I have set. So your average completing time for HYROX races for in the open category, especially the doubles category, is between 130 and 140.
Okay.
Right. Uh, I want to do it sub 115.
Okay, so you're doing it solo.
I'm doing it doubles.
Oh, are you? Who are you
Yeah,
training with?
I'm doing it with Inayat.
Are
Yeah,
you?
yeah. So
Crazy, I didn't know
he's my
that.
HYROX partner that I'm
Oh,
training
okay.
with right
Yes.
now.
So just for context, Inayat is someone else who did sports science in your batch.
He was a year
You a
older to me.
year
Yeah,
older,
yeah.
yeah. Someone who did.
But I've known him for the longest time. We've went to school together and everything.
I
So
didn't know that.
yeah,
Okay, so double. So you're both of you are targeting 115.
115. Yeah, under
Okay.
115 for the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good luck for your goal.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So the physiologist on board is going to get in a little bit into the science of HYROX. So there are three main energy systems that our body uses. The ATP, the ATP PC system is mainly your ATP and phosphocreatine, which is what the body uses for extreme high intensity exercise or activities that last for a little bit of time. So something like sprinting, for that matter, is what this is going to use. Then you have the anaerobic glycolytic system, which is again high intensity exercise, but for duration that is slightly longer. So maybe a little bit from 30 seconds to 2 minutes. And then you have your aerobic system, which is the foundation of HYROX. This is where your body uses oxygen to use the carbohydrates and fats to have prolonged energy, sustained energy. And this is really important because the main thing in HYROX is pacing yourself. It's not an immediate sprint. It's not something you get done with. You need to pace yourself to complete the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, questions.
So what do you think would be the primary system that you're using, or the most dominant system that you're using throughout the race?
The most dominant one would definitely be aerobic system to get, because the 1K is again not a sprint. You need to pace yourself. But I feel like the beginning of certain exercises would use the ATP PC system, which is kind of known as the explosive engine. So from my perspective, something like the initial push, the sled push that you have, if it's more than 100 kgs, getting it from stationary to moving is going to require that like explosive burst of energy to get it moving. After that, it's just a matter of keeping that momentum going.
Okay, so from an exercise physiologist's point of view, what do you think, or what qualities would you look, or would you advise to like train when you're preparing for HYROX?
As somebody who's never trained for this before, I would say having, first and foremost, having a decent level of aerobic fitness would
Okay.
be first and foremost,
Definitely.
because as you said, the competition would take on an average about an hour and 30.
Yeah.
So being able to sustain yourself for that long, if you are someone, in the nicest way possible, if you're someone who's never walked before, it might be a little difficult. But if you go for regular walks on a regular basis, if you go for jogs, runs, and you have a decent amount of strength. So in terms of strength training, I personally think not someone who's never picked up a weight. You can train for it if you've never picked up a weight. But in the beginning itself, if you've not strength trained at all, it is going to be more difficult than if you have a decent level of strength training and then you get into actually training for the HYROX.
Good.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
No. It totally makes sense. And
Yeah.
what if you're an elite athlete? Like, what is the primary system that you're trying to train then?
I feel like so when you say elite athlete, an elite athlete in powerlifting versus an elite athlete in a marathon are
Are two
trained to
different.
use two completely different systems. So
I'm talking about an elite athlete in HYROX. So someone who can finish the HYROX race sub 1 hour, maybe close to 55 minutes.
I think once again it would be aerobic, because I think that is the energy system that drives HYROX.
Yeah.
That is the energy system that you have to have or be efficient in to drive it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't go to say the strength bit isn't important,
Okay.
because when it comes to the rowing and things like that, obviously doing it for a certain amount of time is aerobic, but even being able to do it in the first place takes strength.
Yeah. And since it's heavily reliant on the aerobic system, what kind of fueling do you think would be required for the race? Like, for example,
From a nutrition point
point of view.
I didn't expect this question.
Yeah.
From a nutrition point of view, the most important thing in terms of aerobic system is using your fats efficiently.
Okay.
Because when you use your carbohydrates, if you eat something carb heavy right before the race, that's going to get metabolized very, very quickly. And that is where your ATP, that's what the ATP uses to convert immediately. But if you're looking at exercise or an activity that's lasting for a longer period of time, you should have trained your body to be able to function on the fat you've stored in your body, because that is what you have a very high reserve of.
Okay.
And that is what is going to get you through a longer period. It's just the beginning in which your ATP system is going to be functioning, because that is the first system that kicks in when you start any exercise, because that is what is going to get you started, even through a run or anything. It's the first system that will come into play. But training your body to efficiently use fat often requires, in the long run, I'm saying, it often requires training in such a way that you're not relying on carbohydrates. So maybe not eating something carb heavy right before you train, eating it a little bit before, so that after a certain point of your training, your body is trained to convert to fat because your carbohydrates has run out. Whereas if you're eating something very, very carb heavy right before you trained, that's going to run out very quickly. And if you haven't trained for longer beyond that point, the body using fat is not going to kick in.
Okay, so are you saying that carb loading before the competition or before race day is not ideal, or do you think it'd be fine to do something like that where you're filling up your glycogen stores?
So in terms of, once again, in terms of carb loading, I feel like the reason why it would still benefit you in HYROX is because HYROX is something that for most people would be sub 2 hours.
Okay. Yeah.
It would be sub 2 hours. If you're talking about a marathon for that matter, carb loading is probably not the best way to go, because either a half marathon or a full marathon is going to take you a few hours at least. And no amount of how much, and regardless of how much carb loading you do. So in a marathon, you do get breaks. You can take breaks regardless of your time to hydrate.
Fuel stations as well.
Fuel stations to hydrate, to maybe have like a quick carb, something like that. And the elite athletes who train for a marathon know to take those breaks efficiently and when to take those breaks so that you're not cutting back on your time. Because running 42K in a stretch is not possible. You have to take those breaks, you have to hydrate, you have to fuel. So the elite athletes train themselves in a way where they know when to take those breaks. Whereas in HYROX, it's a it's an event that is sub 2 hours.
Yeah.
So even if you carb load, I'd say it's a thin line, and it's about finding that balance. Even if you carb load, it is gonna help you because it's not a very long event. But if you haven't trained the aerobic system of you, the part of you that knows to use fat to get through that exercise it's going to be very difficult, and very quickly the lactate will build up in your system.
Yep.
If you don't know how to get rid of that lactate efficiently, and that is what causes in cramping, not being able to move. So hydration, I think, also plays a very big role.
Let's talk about hydration a little bit more, because I feel like that's also like a very crucial part of the HYROX race. And what do you think like your hydration should look like before the race and during the race as well, because the race does have hydration stations.
They do. Okay.
So, and you do get water, and since HYROX has partnered up with, I think, Red Bull,
Okay.
they do have like
Caffeine.
They do have caffeine and like Red Bull at the hydration stations as well. So how would you go about hydration? Pre-race, during race, post-race?
Post-race, just eat, bro.
Yeah.
Just
Fair
eat.
enough.
Post-race, just eat. Pre-race, definitely in terms of hydration. Caffeine doesn't come under hydration. It's more of a supplement. But if your body is something that's used to consuming caffeine, definitely consuming a good amount will give you that kickstart. But during the race, if you're going to refuel with just caffeine in between, it's once again a supplement that's keeping you going. It's not the hydration that your body needs.
Okay.
So even if you do choose to take a little bit of caffeine in the middle of the race, I think you need to hydrate to an extent where you're not feeling full.
Okay.
You're not feeling, because if you like chug a lot of water, your body's going to be feeling heavy, which is going to be difficult for you to move.
Yeah.
But I think taking a few swigs of water every time you hydrate. So how many breaks you take to hydrate is dependent on the individual, because some people have a higher sweat rate, which means they're losing fluids a lot more quickly. So you need to replenish those. Someone like me, for example, even when I do something cardio heavy or I do something strength training, I don't sweat as much. So the thing that people don't realize is because you don't sweat, it doesn't mean your body's hydrated enough. It means that you're actually dehydrated. That's a problem I have, which is why your body's not producing sweat. Okay, picking up where we left off, because the camera ran out of storage and we had technical difficulties. How many breaks do you think you personally want to take during the HYROX race?
Me personally, I'd aim at taking at least one break, but like a
Okay.
maximum of maybe 2 breaks to
Okay.
hydrate,
Mhm.
because I do want to complete it as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Given my goal is completing it under 115. So
Right.
yeah.
One break for you, one break for your partner.
It'll mostly be us taking breaks together at the same time, right? So yeah.
Okay. You had another question about hydration.
Yes. How, did I already ask you that, or
Caffeine.
about caffeine?
In
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
break.
So there's in the hydration stations, there's you get water, but you also get caffeine. You get cups of Red Bull as well, because they're a sponsor for the event.
Okay.
So would you recommend going for the Red Bull or going for the water, or both?
If your body responds well to caffeine, it's something you're used to, definitely take caffeine and water.
Okay.
You can take just water. You can't take just caffeine,
Okay.
because caffeine, especially Red Bull, is high in sugar and caffeine. If you go for the sugar-free one, then fine.
Yeah.
But sugar and caffeine together is a very strong diuretic, which dehydrates the body. So as much as it gives you that energy, it's also going to dehydrate you, which is what eventually can cause the buildup of lactate and get you to cramp. So definitely not a replacement for water.
Okay.
And the extension of the question, Monster is not a replacement either. This is our Monster brand ambassador.
Yeah. I was just gonna think, yeah, I'd hydrate with Monster pre-race and just,
Call it a day.
but
No,
yeah.
you definitely need water. The sugar is important because sugar in the most basic form is glycogen. It's
Yeah.
energy. It's
Yeah.
carbohydrate. So that's
What-
important.
What if it's like sugar-free Monster though?
you still need water. You
Okay,
still
fair
need
enough.
water,
Fair
and you
enough, fair
still
enough.
need your electrolytes.
Yeah.
Because even without the sugar, caffeine is still dehydrating you.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
Okay. We've spoken a lot about the science behind HYROX. Now let's dive a little bit into actually training for HYROX. So,
Okay.
how are you particularly balancing the endurance and the strength component of HYROX when you train?
Okay. So my approach to training. Oh, sorry, my bad. My approach to training has been primarily focusing on building my aerobic base because that's where my weakness is right now.
Okay.
Since I've been training for strength for a really long time, I do have like a pretty decent strength base to work off of. But yeah, trying to build my aerobic base has been the challenge, and that's been my primary focus for now. How I've gone about my training is basically I've given myself, I think, 5 months to prepare for the race, and I've split it up into two blocks. Where the first block is me building my aerobic base while doing like general strength training.
Okay.
Nothing too specific to the competition, just maintaining my strength or building my strength a little bit while I'm training for uh, my aerobic base to get better. And since I've started running a lot more, I've also been focusing on getting lighter, which is going to help me compete in the race. So I'm using that first block as a period of time where I can maintain my strength as I'm losing weight, because
Okay.
strength is something that's definitely going to drop as you lose weight, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm using that as my first block, and my second block, which is going to be like 2.5 months leading up to the race. My training is going to shift into something that's more specific and more specific to the race, where I'd be doing like in like race lifts. For example, I'd be doing more walking lunges, more farmers carries, doing a lot more of the stations in my training. And I'd also like include one day where I'm doing like a high rock simulation where
Yeah, I was
I'm
gonna ask if you're going to do a trial kind of
yeah.
HYROX before the actual
Yeah, so
day.
it wouldn't be like a full HYROX, but it would be something that would be the closest thing to a HYROX that I can do in a gym. Because obviously I can't run around the gym from one treadmill to one station, so I'd have to like plan it in such a way where I'm just doing a run and then switching from one station to another. It's not going to be perfect
Yeah,
because obviously when you're training in a commercial gym, it is difficult.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah, because you might
Just
run
just the placement of
just the
everything,
placement of
honestly.
everything, because like even in the gym that I'm training right now, like the treadmills are on one end of the gym and all the HYROX equipment's on the other end, so it's just yeah,
Takes a bit.
you're just walking around the gym, running around the gym basically.
So one thing I wanted to talk about or just mention that I think is really interesting that he told me before is based on his training and things I've seen, I've assumed he's going into this HYROX solo, but it's only on the episode that I found out it's a double, it's like a duo
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah,
But what's really interesting and good, I think, is the fact that you're training for it as if you're doing it
yeah,
solo,
yeah,
because that, I think, the mindset shifts,
yeah,
because you can possibly slack off
yeah,
when you know you're doing it with someone else, thinking, okay, maybe they'll pick it up for you, maybe the other person can
yeah.
take some of the load off you. But when you're training as if you're doing it solo, I think that puts you up in a really good position.
Exactly, because like if I were to do it solo, like for the exercise stations, skier growers, I'd have to do 1,000 meters, and 1,000 meters. And if I were to train for it like I'm doing it as a doubles event, then I wouldn't need to do 1,000 meters. I would only need to train such that I'm able to do 500 meters, right? But I feel like training to do it solo is gonna push me harder and gonna get me more prepared
Yeah.
to do it as a doubles event, where
Right.
doing the doubles event is going to be a lot easier. And I wouldn't say easier is the right word,
No,
but
one
like
thing
it's
that
like it's going to be something that's
you're more
where I'd
prepared
have an
for.
edge, and
You have an
I'd be
edge you're more prepared
more
for, because
prepared
I
for.
think one thing a lot of people in any sport underestimate is competition day psychology.
Yeah,
No matter how you train for it, what happens on the day of the competition and how you deal with it in that moment is what sets you apart.
yeah,
Things can go wrong. um Maybe in terms of how prepared your body is, anything can go wrong. So considering the fact that you're doing it as a doubles but you're training for it as solo, it's it puts you in a better position to genuinely have each other's backs. If
yeah,
something happens, with your partner or something happens with you where something kind of takes a lag on that day, both of you know that, okay, the other person has my back because you're training for it that way. So I think
Yeah.
that's really important.
Yeah.
So in terms of training, what is something you think that people overdo? They think they have to do this and they go all out into doing it, and at the same time, what do they miss out on? What do they struggle with?
I think a lot of people overdo the building engine aspect of it. Like I feel like it is very important to have a good engine when you're doing a HYROX, but you would also need a good strength base.
Okay.
Yeah, because being stronger and being able to, or like, let me put this in a different way. Strength training and power training is just going to make you more efficient
Okay.
when you're going to be competing for an endurance event,
Right. Okay.
right? Because you having a better base means you're taking up less energy
Right.
to do the same activity,
That
right?
makes sense. Yeah.
Your engine's definitely going to help you. Your cardiovascular uh, endurance is definitely going to help you, but I feel like a lot of people overlook
The
the
strength,
the strength
the
aspect.
strength training and the strength aspect of it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's great. Now, the next quick segment we have is like a rapid fire where I'm going to just ask you 4 questions and you just tell me in a phrase or like one word.
Oh no.
So, this is not it. Biggest mistake people make training for HYROX.
Training the runs and the stations separately. I feel like
Okay.
they need to train them together because it's all about transitioning from the run into the station
Okay.
efficiently.
One thing that absolute beginners should focus on first.
Building your aerobic base.
Endurance.
Yeah.
Okay. One thing that strength athletes need to accept getting into HYROX. People that have been only training strength, what is something they need to accept to efficiently?
You are going to lose some of your strength gains in the process of training for something that's endurance based.
Okay. One thing that endurance athletes need to accept and work on.
You're going to have to build strength. Yeah.
Okay. So the last question, which is for everyone in the audience, someone who's already preparing for HYROX, someone who's thinking about it. If someone watching this video is thinking, okay, this seems really interesting, I want to get into this, what is one advice or takeaway that you'd give to them?
See, kind of questions like this, you need to tell me before that you're asking so I can think of something. What is this, bro? Let's do that again, bro. Let's do that again, okay?
No, this is going on the video menu right now. Take two. Okay, take two.
Yeah, cool.
So the question I had is, so someone like me who's just learned so much about HYROX in this episode itself,
Yeah.
if I say I'm interested to compete in HYROX, what is advice you'd give me?
For someone that's never taken part in an endurance event before or an endurance competition before, I'd strongly suggest like just building your aerobic base and working on the endurance side of things. For someone who's been taking part in marathons and like running events before, work on your strength.
Okay.
Yeah.
Both go hand in hand.
But for a complete beginner who is coming and is going to be training for the first time to take part in this race, commitment to the training and your consistency is going to matter a lot. So I'd say as soon as the tickets go on sale for the event, buy the tickets because then you've committed to something and that you can like follow through with
So
it.
rather than just saying, okay, there's a race happening in April
Yeah.
that I want to target, put the money there.
Put the money in because like HYROX tickets aren't cheap. Yeah. So yeah, once you've made that investment, you've committed to it, you're going to be more inclined to stay consistent with your training and just lock in. So yeah.
Lock in. 2026, the year of locking in.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for being a guest on today's episode.
Hold up. Before we conclude, spoke so much about HYROX. What's the abbreviation?
Oh, we forgot that.
Ooh, okay.
Okay.
Any guesses? What do you think?
Wait, let's start that bit again so we can include it in. You ask the question.
She just did. She just did.
No, ask it again. I wasn't ready. I want to say thank you so much for being part of today's.
Guys, hold up. You spoke so much about HYROX. What is the abbreviation of it?
What do you think it is?
You have to give me, okay, high rocks. I think the first word is high.
Okay.
HIGH.
Okay.
Why? I have absolutely no idea. Give me hints.
Okay. Hybrid is the first bit of it.
Hybrid.
Because once you do a HYROX, you've just gotten that label. You're a hybrid athlete. Right?
Hybrid athlete. Hi. I feel like H and Y is hybrid. I don't think Y has a separate thing. I feel like H and Y is hybrid.
I feel like a lot of people, once they realize what HYROX stands for, or what the abbreviation is, like I feel like a lot of people wouldn't take part in it, right? Yeah, because I heard it and it threw me off a little bit as well.
Okay, so since I am clueless about this going into this episode, break the ice. Tell me what it is.
It means it stands for hybrid rock star. So yeah, a little cringy there, but with the naming, but HYROX definitely sounds cooler than hybrid rock star.
So I
but
was right about the HY being hybrid.
yes, yeah,
I just ROX. I was like,
yeah,
so Rockstar is the X. That is the most 2016 thing I've heard.
exactly. It's yeah.
Where my 2000, oh my god, so my old email address that I can't believe I'm saying on this episode was HP, that stands for Harry Potter, because I've been a fan for the longest time. It was HP Rocks BRK. ROX.
Yeah, but HYROX stands for
Oh my
hybrid
god,
rockstar.
why did I say this?
So yeah, I am competing, or I am training to be a hybrid rockstar. Yeah.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
I am so excited for you. All the best for your race in
Thank
April.
you. Yeah.
To you and Inayat, wishing both of you all the best.
Shout out Inayat.
Shout out. So the last thing I want to say is thank you so much for watching this episode and being our very first guest on the Goblet. Do you wanna?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Now, thank you guys so much for watching this episode. I hope this gave you insight into what HYROX is, and hopefully some of you want to take part in it after this. If you have any questions about the training, how do you get into it, definitely comment, and either me or Steen will get into all of those. Now, for next week's episode, since it's 2026 and a lot of you are starting new diets, new fitness regimes, goals with weight loss, weight gain, I want to get into the dark side of diets, in terms of there are many different diets people get into, but if you do it wrong, how bad can it be? How do you go all out with it and goes drastically wrong? Because too much of anything is going to be bad. So we're going to give you a little bit of insight to it so that you can make an informed decision on, is this the right diet for me, or is this going to take me down completely?
You've definitely piqued my curiosity there.
Yeah. Okay, so stay tuned for next week's episode, and thank you guys for watching our very first episode of 2026.